Hello and welcome back to AP Psychology. I'm Miss Lee and we are still in Unit 5, Cognition. In this video, we're going to be talking about retrieval of memories. Our learning target is to describe strategies for retrieving memories, and I wanted to let you know that you will need a blank sheet of paper for this video because there are a few activities that we're going to be working on during the video. So if you haven't done so already, go ahead and grab your notes and let's get started. Okay, retrieval refers to getting the information out of the memory store. You've encoded the memory, it's been stored, it's there, but how do you get it out to be able to use it? Well, one of the easiest ways to do that is retrieval cues. Retrieval cues are stimuli that help people get information from the long-term memory. So think of these cues like search terms. These are going to be like keywords that you put into a search engine to get information if you are doing some research on the internet. It's very similar, except for these are clues to help you find your stored memories. Memories are held in storage by a web of associations. These associations are kind of like anchors that help to retrieve your memory. So on the blank piece of paper that I asked you to get, I want you to write the words that you think of when I reveal a word in a few moments. Any and all words, spacing them out kind of sporadically in the blank space. Are you ready? When I reveal the word, you may want to pause the video so you have adequate time to write down as many words as you can think. The word is sleep. Now that you have written down as many words associated to the word sleep as you can, I want you to draw lines to connect these. You could try to connect the terms that you thought of in the order you thought of them, but it's not really necessary. Your web may look something like this, except in words, not images. And the word sleep is going to be in the middle. Basically, all of these words could serve as retrieval cues. They are words that you associate with sleep. So when you think of being tired in class, you think of sleep. When you think of being in your warm, comfortable bed, you think of sleep. These could all potentially serve as retrieval cues. There are two types of retrieval, and you may have heard me talk about these in class already. The first one is recognition. In recognition, the person has to identify an item amongst others. So a great example of that is going to be a multiple choice test. You are given options and you have to recognize the correct item out of that list. So if you are to name the capital of France, you have some different options to pick from and you know that the answer is in there somewhere. You just have to recognize it. It's a little bit of an easier way of getting the information out. In recall, the person has to retrieve information entirely. You have to use more effort. So if you were asked the capital of Germany is, you have to recall that without any kind of clues as to the answer because it's not there. You have to kind of pull it out of your memory without any help. In relearning, the individual shows how much time or effort is saved when learning material a second time. This is actually a really great study technique. So let's say on the first day, it takes you 10 trials to remember the entire list that you see. Well, the next day, theoretically, it's only going to take you 5 trials. Why? Because you have already done some of the heavy lifting by learning it the first time. So when you go to learn it the second time, it's not going to take you nearly as much time. So I'm going to ask you to do something else on that piece of paper. I hope you haven't gotten rid of it. I want you to spell out the word bear. Have you done it? Without knowing what this word means, how does what I just had you do demonstrate the concept of priming? Okay, priming is providing cues that stimulate memories without awareness of the connection between the cue and the retrieved memory. I asked you to remember how to spell the word bear. Tell you what kind of bear. Priming is often referred to as memoryless memory because it's done without our conscious awareness, yet it predisposes us to interpret or recall information in a certain way. When I showed you a picture of a bear, the animal bear, you were already thinking of that word. When I asked you to write the word bear, you probably didn't even consider the option of bear as in bare feet. There are two kinds of bear, but I primed you to consider the animal version rather than the barefoot version. Then we have context effects. Context effects are basically referring to the improved recall of specific episodes or information when the context present at the time of encoding and retrieval are the same. So basically, you are in the same type of a room when you are trying to remember the information or encode it and retrieve it. Basically be tested on it. So when you've lost your keys or phone and you retrace your steps, how does that serve as a context effect? And what does the notion of context effects mean for your studying or where you take tests? The bottom line is the more closely the retrieval cues match the form in which the information was encoded, the better the information will be remembered. So if you know you're going to take a really important test in a very cold classroom at a desk, you are going to want to try and study in a cold room at a desk. You're going to be giving yourself more of an edge because you have made the context effects line up. Deja vu is the I've experienced this before experience. Cues from the current situation or whatever you're doing at the time may unconsciously trigger retrieval of an earlier similar experience. So it's similar enough that it triggers a previous memory that you can't quite get your memory caught up to. State-dependent memory is when memory retrieval is most efficient when an individual is in the same state of consciousness as they were when the memory was formed. So if you're really tired every day when you come to our class, your recall will be better on the test if you are tired then too. The same applies to intoxication. If someone is intoxicated when learning something, like someone's phone number, then they are going to have trouble remembering it when they are sober. Mood congruent memory is our tendency to recall experiences that are consistent with your current mood. So if you're happy or you're in a good mood, you're more likely to recall happy or positive events versus being in a bad mood and only remembering sad or negative memories. Likewise, if you come to our class angry every day, like maybe your previous class is frustrating, then your recall on the test will be better if you're frustrated then as well. And then we come to tip of the tongue phenomenon. This is the inability to recall a word or idea while knowing good and well it's in your memory. The most common items of tip of the tongue phenomenon are names and familiar objects. Why does it happen? It's probably due to interference during recall. So basically a poor match between retrieval cues and encoding of the information. So get your pen and your blank sheet of paper ready. We're going to have one more activity. This is probably a somewhat familiar picture, or at least the contents are familiar. Can you name all 7? When you look at the picture, who's missing? This could also apply to, if you're trying to remember that one actor in that one movie that plays that one part. You know his name, but you just can't say it. It's right there on the tip of your tongue. And that is it for retrieval. In our next video, we'll be talking about forgetting. I can't wait to see you then. Bye for now.